Hey, we're here today with the lovely Angel. I do enjoy my Angel hangouts. Angel, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great today. How about you?
Well, I was a little bit tired, but I'm doing okay, and it's always good to talk to you, so that's great.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, just just this last Pi Day. Do you know what Pi Day is? I don't want to assume people
Yeah,
do.
pie to do with the pyramids. But I just want to ask you, what made
Well,
you write this then? What made you write your 2 pages? You told me, and so obviously people can read it. We'll very slowly go over the pages, but what made you write this?
well, I guess it's because I found it and I wanted to share it.
Is this to do with
And
time again?
yeah, it is definitely has to do with well, it has to do with everything. That's why I named it what I named it. Do you know what it's a astronomical term, and I can't even pronounce it, but SYZYGY.
That's
Are
what
you
it is.
familiar with that?
Yeah, I've not heard of that
Are you
before.
familiar with the term?
No.
Okay.
Explain the term then.
That the term is an alignment of celestial bodies. Like when
Right.
Saturn and Venus and Jupiter are all in the sky at the same
Yeah.
time and they all line up. Okay? Now, it also is when the Earth and the Moon and something lines up. Okay? Now, what would it be called if I can show you how you can calculate for everything to line up? That is why I created this word. It wasn't in the dictionary, and I think it's pretty definitive. Now, with that in mind,
That's the
why don't you?
SYGYGUM.
Correct.
Right. Well,
Like in
everybody,
Latin, the
Angel's
um
very,
is
very clever,
definitive.
aren't you, Angel? You're a very clever man.
Like
So, yeah,
right,
carry
like
on.
auditorium. It's like the capsulation of.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it was my thinking, and I have a weird mind like that. So, do you want to read aloud and ask me questions on it?
Do you want me to
How
read
do
it?
you
I
want
might
to?
not be able to read it all.
Well, it's
All
only
right.
about two
The
pages.
the chronography of time as we have it now is down to a fine science. The knowledge of where we are at any given time is weighed against the sun in relation to the solar system. Yeah. Okay. Them there bean counters.
Bean counters.
What, them there bean counters?
Well, it's kind of I'm trying to do it in slang, like them there bean counters. Speaking from a point of ignorance.
Have
Them there bean counters.
established. What's that? Is that millions? 365. What is that? Million
Point.
points.
365 point.
Two four
You don't
two one
recognize
nine.
that number?
Oh yes, the year.
Okay.
Am I there? Am I there, Angel? Am I there? Ding! Yeah. Oh, what's the extra 24217 days? Is that the moon thing where we have a leap year and all that crap? Although that's not
Well,
right either, is it?
that
Because
is
we have
honestly where
13 moons a year, don't we? 13 moons a year. Carry on.
well, yes, and this all goes into that, but continue.
Okay, fancy
You're
fine
reading
work.
ahead.
Fancy fine work that anyone with a quantum computer can verify in no time. What does that mean then? That anyone can.
Okay, basically, I'll answer that. How can we dispute these people that sit there with their supercomputers that have established this particular, that particular set unit as the length of time, the length of a year? How can we dispute that unless we have a super duper computer and, gazillion dollars to go up against them?
Yeah.
Do you get my point?
Yeah. So you have to take.
Continue.
So everybody's taking that figure.
Right. Continue.
We hold my
Well.
slide rule while I grab
You know
my
what a slide rule
sextant.
is?
It's obviously like a sextant then. It's something like that.
No.
No?
A slide rule is what we used before calculators.
Right.
I could say hide my abacus, but abacuses actually still work current day. So do slide rules. But a slide rule, and really you should see it. Just Google the image of a slide rule.
What now?
I physically go show them. Well, you know what? The general public can do it.
All right, 2 seconds. Let me just stop it for 2 seconds. Get the picture up, and then we'll come back. Hang on, 1 sec. Picture looks a bit like a ruler bent in half and bent in half or something.
Well, it is a ruler, and on 2 of the lines, they get longer as you go down. And it works on, I guess you would say it works on squares and stuff. And for me to explain it would actually be a whole long time.
No, I think they get the idea. People would have seen these, won't they?
It's a calculator before a calculator was invented. And it gave you very close answers, which honestly is what the Antikythera mechanism will do when I show you it when we get to the end of the paper. The Antikythera mechanism is like a slide rule, and it measures things, but not perfectly, but close enough.
Mm.
Continue.
Okay, we're going back to your paper now, so I'm just going to put your paper back. Come on.
Okay, do you know what a sextant is? Because I threw
yeah,
these
that's
words in there
the points, isn't it? 2 points on a bit like a.
A sextant is a thing. It kind of looks like a triangle, almost like a Masonic.
Right. Yeah.
It is basically the same as a Masonic.
Yeah.
The angle measurer, only it measures azimuths and stuff like that. It's designed for measuring things in the sky. So it's basically the same way Mason tools are to carpentry. This tool is to stargazers.
Okay, so you're holding your side rule and you've grabbed your sextant.
Do you know the term "hold my beer"?
No.
Okay, I guess it's another slang term. When, let's say, some guy goes over and tries to, fix the refrigerator, and the other guy says, "Oh, I can do it better. Here, hold my beer. I'll fix it." You're one-upping the person. I guess this is big. Anyway, I guess it's a U.S.
But you
thing.
think though,
And,
Angel, they did everything with those. We've just continued it on later in life with a computer, but they would have done it with these things anyway, wouldn't they?
Well, you don't even honestly need a slide rule to do the. Well, I guess you could use. Yes, they could have used a slide rule and a sextant. Definitely a sextant.
But what your question says is once you grabbed your side rule and your sextant, there was a much simpler time. Time ignorant of the orbits, ignorant of the parallax. Right?
And you know what both of those are, right?
Orbits, well, those must be the silly old planets and stars. And the parallax, what's that then? Explain that to people.
The parallax hypothetically says that, in 80 billion years, the North Pole won't be the North Pole. This Vega over here is going to move over there, and this other star is going to move. Just over time there'll be drift. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
That's because we're going around in a solar system, and things are going to move.
Well,
eventually.
the solar system's moving around us, isn't
years.
it? That's moving around us up there. Yep.
Well, we'll get to that. That's you're letting the cat out of the bag. Keep going.
Oh. Let us start with the differences today. Yes, today we must consider that the engineers did not grab the memo from Pope Gregory, and as such they were forced to think for themselves. What is it today? Want me to carry on?
Go ahead.
Today, the day will be 24 hours, or will it? It's 24 and some minutes, isn't it? Or a minute or something.
Keep going.
All right, well, you've told me this. Anyway, we calculate that 24 hours...
What's the truth?
All right, I'm reading. We calculate that 24 hours is high noon to high noon, but then we account for the additional drift and skew the value of the account for the 1-365.24219. Bit of a turn, but not to face the sun again, but a complete 360 degrees rotation in geospace. The maths and additional variables are far too vast for my feeble mind to give you much detail on that. You're not feeble. You are definitely not feeble. So what does that mean then? Basically, we're working on a 360 degree thing for the sun to go round and come back.
Hang on one second. My headset decided it wanted to go out on me right at the wrong time. Do I have you now?
Right. Okay. Let us return to a primitive day before the distraction of the existence of the orbit. The simple change affects the day. Nothing you can notice on the surface, no physical change. Nothing changes in your life, just the way the passage of time is calculated on paper. The engineering milestone of yesterday, you will see the echoes of today. Right. Let us reconstruct this primitive system and see where it goes. I will pick the purple rock at top.
Atop. On top of. Atop.
All right. The Great Giza Pyramid. This will donate our premium meridian. Hold on. This gets even really complicated. We take high noon till high noon as the vemeral equinox. What's that? Vemeral. What's that meant?
That's the one that's in April. That used to be the start of the calendar year, and when the Gregorians changed it to
and do you know what?
The December
do you know what?
equinox.
I'm a bit funny about religion these days, but that's when they said Jesus was actually born, was in April, wasn't it?
Well, no, I was told it was technically September, and that's based on when John the Baptist was. Hang on.
I'm listening.
When John the Baptist was born, because Mary and John the Baptist's mother were washing together in the river while they were both pregnant. Therefore, John the Baptist must be born within that time frame, and then that was 7 months. So Jesus can't be born more than 2 months from the date of John the Baptist. John the Baptist was born in July, so he must have been born latest of September.
Right.
Now that's from the Bible, but I'm not here to argue Bible stuff at this time. The whole Christmas thing is a story I can totally go into a whole nother day. But what I'm looking at is the Gregorian calendar moved the new year, and they moved Christmas. They moved Christmas for pagan reasons. And they
But that's weird, isn't it? Because that's before Jesus.
Right. And they changed the start of the new year to make sure that these numbers, this is my opinion, but to make sure that these numbers didn't fall into the wrong hands. But continue, just
so the
play it out.
vernal equinox till high noon, and the vernal equinox in 1,461 days. The calculation ensured that the rest of the maths from here on out will be the average of a 4-year cycle. Well, there you go. That's the Olympics, isn't it? Well, that year.
Well, that's the next word. The analemma. You know what the analemma is, right?
Yeah, the sun thing up and down where it goes.
The figure 8 dial.
Yeah. But I don't know if I believe that. Do you know why?
You have to.
Do you know why?
Go ahead. Why? Why?
Because the sun does something different every day.
Well, yes, but let the system run its course.
Yeah,
here
we'll do your system,
and just
okay.
Look at the numbers,
so
okay?
The analemma reminds us that the length of the days varies. This long-term average takes all this into account. You will see how their wisdom, while extreme, simplifies things. We are going to the deep end now. One huge splash is the perfection of the, what is it called again? The Antikythera
mechanism.
Yeah, you say it.
Mechanism. Or Antikythera, however you want to say. Now, I shorten it the very next word.
Yeah, Aunt Kay. Aunt Kay is a fairly complex but straightforward machine. She is old and no longer functionable, but the mass she holds seems to be working fairly damn well, even in current day. She verifies the knowledge and believes that there are
The
hard
knowledge
codes.
and beliefs.
Knowledge, sorry, oh gosh, you're reading it with me. She verifies the knowledge and beliefs that are hardcore into the machine. So that's crazy, isn't it? That they don't use it, but it still works.
Yeah. Keep going. This is great.
The use of prime numbers within the system causes a unique factoration.
That's fine. It's close enough.
Can I just say that I don't know if you're
Factorization.
aware, but I am actually dyslexic, and you asked me to read it. And
Okay,
I'm like,
well that's.
oh my
I'm not
God!
trying to trick you or anything.
Anyway,
That's
but I
not
am a
an easy
bit
word.
dyslexic.
Factorization.
Yeah, factorization, and is proven to accurately track several of the wandering bodies as identified within the Bible. No Pluto. The number system will start to focus on will be we'll start to focus on will be the 11th, the 13th, and 223. Why does it jump up that much from 11 to 13 to 223? They the days.
Well, no, those are gears within the mechanism.
Gears. Oh yeah, of course. I must
and
remember
that's
that.
answered the next line.
The gears play an integral part in the relationship between the sun, the moon, and the phases. Yeah, because I think I found a video with the man talking about it, and I put it out, and it was showing all that about how, and also clocks. Some clocks are done like that, aren't they? Where they show you all that. So
Right.
It's the same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember
Now
we talked about these things.
Keep going.
The prime numbers will start to focus on will be. Oh, we've done that one. Sorry, the gears. I'm sorry, it's not very good of me. I fell asleep this afternoon. I'm a bit drowsy. Then there is 1277. What's that then?
Well, keep going.
The prime number in concert with a few others will build the system. I'm going to go into rapid fire, so hold on. Oh no. Rapid fire, so hold on. Oh my gosh. 1277 times 13 times 11 times 2 times 360 equals the divisions of the equator. 1277 times 223 times 13 times 11 equals the cycles in a full system run. But that almost sounds like a computer, doesn't it? Just talking about that.
It is a computer, but keep going.
Now you run these numbers and values, you get 131.
A big number.
479920 divisions of the equator and 4T722253 cycles. If you do not know these numbers, you soon will. 131479920 with all its primes has a common denominator of 1277 times 13 times 11 times 5 times 3 times 2 or 5,478,330. So what's that then? Because that's much bigger.
Oh, the next sentence answers that question.
Right. And while that number may not mean anything to anyone, it divides evenly into 131479920 24 times. 24 even division of the equator, and so marks the hour. Ah, I see. So that's an hour. Cool. It's also complicated. It's all numbers, isn't it? Can you read the next bits out?
Because all it's all straightforward.
The next 3 lines all have numbers in. Just read them out.
Okay. The 1277 times the 13 times the 11 times the 2, all prime numbers, comes out to a total of 365,222. Now, if that doesn't ring a bell, that marks 1,000 years in this system, or 1 millennium, as we would call it. The next one is 1277 times 13 times 3, and it's divided by 2. And I can go into the rationale between why it's divided by 2 later, but that hits a mark that everyone should know the number of, is 24,901 and a half. In this case, it's years, which in the bigger picture when I get into my book, when they say, as is above, so is below, all these numbers are reflexive. The number of years in the zodiac sign and the number of miles on the surface of the earth, they're there because the miles are there to track the zodiac sign.
Is this why they were able to change everything then, Angel?
This is what?
Is this why they were able to change everything into the new one, which you don't like? You like the old one.
Which is why they wanted to change everything into the new one. Because if we're using something which was, and I had a book written, it's called The Meter's Mistake, and I can give you a link to it. And it really goes into how these people in France set forth to do something, and they didn't even do it accurately. Then when they knew they didn't do it accurately, instead of changing to correct for what they now discovered was accurate, they decided to go with what they had. And then they used 9 pieces of tungsten steel, but one of them got too short because of the weather or something like that. Then they realized they were off, and now they go with the decay rate of like uranium or something. Actually, that's all in the book. But they keep using different things to say what the length of a meter is. And no one who... Again.
Oh yes, we did this one. We did this one because they're slightly out on a meter, but they didn't care and they carried on being slightly out. And then because they're slightly out, everything else is out. Because over time, you say it's one gear, it's wrong. Over hundreds of years, that's hundreds of gears out.
Well, there's also...
Isn't that right?
This is true. This is totally true. If you're using a yardstick that's like a little bit short, it's not going to matter. But if you measure a mile, you could be like a foot or two off. It measures over time, but it doesn't measure right up front. But kind of knowing the system, what we've worked on so far. Okay. The next number is that big number, the 40,000 or 40 billion number, 40 billion. 722,253, the total number of cycles that this system calculates. You divide that by a year, 365.222 in their numbers, and you come up with 111,500. If you Google how long they feel it takes for the zodiac cycle to do, or it's the tilt of the Earth to do its whole progression, they say it's about 112,000 years. Now you can do whatever you want. I think this is accurate up from 500 years over 112,000. If I told you in 4 months...
Can I ask you something? How did they know back then all that?
Let's not worry about how they knew it. Let's worry about how accurate this system is. Why don't you, since there are not a lot of big numbers, continue?
Yeah, I'm going to continue, but when we get down to the Egyptian royal cubit, you can do that bit because you sound much better than me. This system counts time in rhythm and nature. It uses measurements.
With nature.
Time? No, nature.
It keeps time in rhythm with nature.
Right. Did I say it wrong? Sorry.
You may have it. I heard it wrong if you said it right. It's my fault. Keep going.
Sorry. Because this is a nightmare for me reading because I struggle. I actually have to change things in my videos because sometimes I look at a word and I think, what's that? But I told you I'm a bit dyslexic. But anyway, it uses measurements that are not only Earth-based but mathematically aids in the tracking of wandering stars. There is another unit of measure, one referenced in scholarly papers and cited in research books, while scholars will scratch their respective heads. Oh my God, what's going on? Sorry.
It's good.
Pondering an origin.
And ponder the orange.
Origin.
Origin.
we put our foot down on this one. So what do you mean by that?
We're going to put our foot down. You've never heard that term?
Yes, I have. I realise. Okay, yes.
The teacher comes in, they put their foot down. We're like, boom, we're going to stop this fight right now.
The cubit is a unit like the longitudinal lines. The distance apart changes with latitude joining at the pole. It is 1-800 of a second of transit time of the sun. A much easier math in the system. So that's out as well then by 1/800 of a second then. It's out. Is that what you're saying?
Well, if time is measured differently, because right now the way we measure time, it doesn't matter a whole lot, but it's 28 minutes different per year. Then it's actually 28.8 or 0.46 if you look at it on as an hour.
So it's 100 minutes every 4 hours.
No, every 4 years.
I mean, every 4 years. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, which if you'd added 100 hours every 4 years to 111,500, you wind up getting, I think it's 11,728 or something like that, which is pretty damn close to the 11,200 years that, like, Carl Sagan estimates.
The 111,500 years.
Right.
Yeah. That's that one there. Yeah, so that one. Right. 24 times 60 times 60 times 800 equals 69-120-000 cubits over 131-475-920 feet. Base unit is 1 point, what's that, billion, million, trillion, 1.90219791666. Well, what is that then?
Well, that is the length of a cubit. Now, it can actually be represented because we know its exact value as 1.9 plus 2 11s over 96,000, which if you look on a calculator, that winds up to be 0.00219721666666666. Now, the nice thing about this, and I told you the system is reflexive, if you multiply that by a multiple of 3, you get rid of the repeating 6. Since it's whatever n16, if you multiply it by a multiple of 3, and that works out perfect, because when you multiply it by a multiple of 12, because the division from a foot to an inch is a multiple of 12, it actually winds out to be a finite number.
Right.
Isn't that's perfect? That wouldn't happen if we tried to measure the length of the minute, the length of a second, the length of everything that they do in the Gregorian
So when you're doing
calculator.
this, you're still using the old system to do it rather than the new one.
Right. This is all in the old system, and it works out to the penny here. When it says it's 22.826375 inches, it's exact. Now when there will be larger numbers where the symmetry works out, like, you know, the length of a full mile or the length of a full, actually the meter comes into play, but not the meter that we use today, because they messed up when they made the meter and then they kept with it. Then none of this really happens until you're measuring like moonshots and the speed of light and stuff. But we'll get to that in a second.
Okay, it says, how about dem apples? But can you just read the next bit, because it's all numbers, and I probably think it's better that
Sure, I will do
just
that.
the next bit, down to the end of that dark black. Jericho, read it to there.
Right. How about them apples comes from Good Will Hunting. If you haven't seen that movie, it's a good movie.
Right.
All right, so next is the formula for the cubit. The cubit at the latitude equals the 22.816375 cosine the latitude inches. It's a formula, and it's very simple. And then I cite examples of documented cubits known currently from history, and the math shows that these correlate. I didn't make up the cubits. I didn't go back in history and rewrite books. I am not part of the Mandela Project. I didn't make up the milestone. I am not part of the Mandela Project. I didn't make up any of the divisions that we know today that work so well in this system. Now, the next bit is all kind of a play, and it says, if you think these numbers are clean, just keep in mind that the annual measurement you can multiply by is 0.02. Now that 0.02 there, just to expand on that, is the difference between our year and the year as they calculated, which is the next equation which you see there. So the Gregorian equivalent, it would be the 365.24219 over 365.2.22. That would stretch the year as, you know, the difference between the way we calculate it and they calculate it. And then there's the 0.0007, and that's the offset between how we calculate 24 hours now and how we calculated 24 hours then. Because right now, 24 hours is not noon to noon, because we're going 365 point around the Earth. So NASA and the Gregorian people, they throw in an extra length there. Now, here's where I have some more play, and I'll explain them to you as I say it. You must agree, if the system calculates 7,233 days, an event will occur. Do you really care how accurate I am as long as in 20 years it happens? Like, if I tell you, 10 years from now we're going to build a shopping mall here. If in, 7,000 days from now we're going to build a shopping mall here. If it happens 20 years later, that's pretty good. How about if I tell you in 5,646 years? Nature has cycles. It oscillates in its accuracy, but its predictability is off the charts. Now, here's where I have some more play. One must consider the closer you are to the event, the more accurate the scale of time. So, if I tell you something's going to happen in a year, you have a variance. If I tell you something's going to happen in a month, if it happens between 25 and 35 days, that's still okay. If I tell you it's going to happen in a week, you want it to happen, between 6 and 8 days. You know what I mean?
Mm.
If I say it's going to happen tomorrow, it better happen tomorrow. So the closer you get, the more accurate the system becomes. But it will tell you that this event will occur at a point in the future. And even though we may miscalculate our time by a little bit compared to how they did it, we're repeating their measurements, but their measurements work a lot cleaner. And you can see how easy they are to measure when you have cleaner numbers, because we're ignoring the orbit and ignoring the parallax. Now the next line, I hope you understand. And I'll say this for your readers, but I'm not going to document it in here. After remove all the Gregorian numbers and truncate the conversion between the messed up meter, you too may see, and then I have an equation there.
Where do I go from that? It finishes there. Where do I go for that? The next page. Where's the next page?
That's it. That's all
right,
I'm
okay.
leaving right now. But that last verse right there, I'd like to tell it to you, and then I'd like to explain it to you.
Of course, go.
Okay? You see, after you remove all the Gregorian numbers and truncate a conversion from the messed up meter, you too may see 233 times 5 to the power of 2 times 2 to the power of 5. Now that's a mathematical equation. And when you run the numbers, it comes out with 186400. Now, if that number doesn't mean anything to you...
That's half of 360, isn't it?
Huh?
That's half of 360, isn't it?
No, it's not.
886. What is it that you're relating that one to then? Because you said if you don't know you're stupid. If you don't know it, you're stupid, basically.
No, you're not stupid. Hang on. I also put a word game in here. I purposely capitalized the word numbers, and I purposely put the word to instead of also. If you go to the Bible, Numbers 2, and you can pull this up on your own right now, it talks about the children of light. And the total value of the children of light is a value, and that value happens to be 18,6400. And 18,6400, if you look at it, we calculate the speed of light after converting from the meter to be 18,600. The 18. I'm getting the number wrong. 1,806,373. That's what we have. Is 373. So what is that? That's like 28 miles an hour, 28 miles a second off of what the Bible says, and what this calculation gives you.
Why does the Bible? If the Bible's about Jesus and that, why does the Bible say that?
Why do they call it the Book of Numbers?
Why, if the Bible is about Jesus and like a self-help book, why is it talking about that? That sounds more like a machine.
I gotta stop you really quick right there. How could it be about Jesus if the Old Testament was written prior to Jesus being alive? Okay, so right there,
all right,
I gotta
then.
nip that little thing.
Why is it a Bible talking about stories, including Jesus, to it actually to be a machine? Basically, they're talking about a machine.
I'll tell you my belief is a part of this. There's
Go
books,
on, then. Go for
part
it.
of the books in the Bible is the one. There's the one about the farmer. The farmer who has the land, the king or the landowner that tells them to give him like 1/10 of his share or something like it, whatever it is. And it shows how over time the landlord screws the farmer. Just a simple act of kindness is really, the Sauron's eye of, ring or whatever. Where, like Monsanto, hey, we'll give you this seed at a discount, but you have to use this fertilizer that goes with it. And by the way, if you ever decide you don't want to work with us again, you can't plant normal stuff in your own soil for 7 years because you have to let the poison that we've been giving you dissipate out of the soil. So you're an indentured servant forever. It teaches these things in the Bible, in the story. If you read the story, then you will know from the experience you were taught in the Bible how to avoid getting caught into tricks, because you have read in the Bible about how actions occurred. Otherwise, you're just walking through life ignorant of how life works and how evil people can be. Is part of it. It is the basic instructions before leaving Earth. Not only that, but there are things inherent in there that we today are just learning. And I say we today, I mean like the past. Look at Louis Pasteur. He was shunned for telling people to wash their hands. But yet in the Bible it talks about wash your hands in running water, not still water. They knew about bacteria and the growth of that.
Muslims still follow that today. Muslims still follow that today about they say it's being clean. They'll say it's being clean, but they follow that today.
It is being clean. And the rationale, if you are told, hey, after you get busy with your guy there, go into the bathroom. Your mom says go into the bathroom and just hose off a bit. You know what I mean? That's a health thing, and you don't have to know the rationale behind it. Just know it's just something that's done. It's a health thing, but you learn by example in the Bible. Otherwise, people are just walking around. They're just like, just they don't know that you can catch nasty infections and get dirty and stuff. Wash your toes, clean. I just brought that particular up of the genitalia.
But on here you say
this
messed up the meter.
Place where things can happen.
Sorry, this messed up the meter. And that's what you're really talking about, because the meter isn't accurate. It's still out.
Correct. But even if the meter is, it doesn't matter what it is. It is a unit of measurement. But if it was in symmetry with the unit of measurement it was honestly meant to replace, a symmetry of numbers would occur. But we're not even using the correct set of numbers, so we can't see the symmetry in things, because I personally believe 1,500 years ago, I actually think longer than that, longer than 1,500 years ago, when the Julian calendar was played with. They made changes at that time, but it was really the Gregorian calendar, where they took us off of the Julian calendar. And I almost feel that it was done deceptively because they don't want people to see how awesome the world is that we have. It all goes back to the love of money and the creation of the falling apple.
Does
the
it make
creation
any
of the
difference?
falling apple. You know what I mean?
Does it make any difference with the meter being messed up from time ago, or is it just the meter measurement itself is wrong?
Well, okay. Here's where you can say the meter is a unit. All right, it doesn't matter what it is. It's a yardstick you found in the backyard to say this is our unit of measurement. But the problem is when you convert from that to the foot, where in this world is there a foot sticking around that you can say, no, you're off by a skosh? There is none. They made up the conversion, and they used a number which is a nice number. I think it's like 3.05, like 3805 or something like that, which is a 4-digit number, but in reality it should be like a 12-digit number, like pi. If you're going with accuracy, it should be a bigger number. They've truncated it because they don't care about the foot. The intention is to get the foot out of the picture. A meter was supposed to be the end-all, be-all. They don't use degrees anymore. Go over there in the UK, everything is Celsius. We're not using degrees. We're not even, the only thing we stick with is the hours and minutes. We're trying to get off of the old system. And I think we're trying to get off of the old system because if somebody put 2 and 2 together and realized how awesome the old system is and what it proves. I tried to talk to Dave, Flat Earth Dave. I don't know if you have an in with the guy, but I tried to talk to him, and he just blew me off because it's like you say, it's all numbers. It doesn't make sense, but numbers
I must
don't
admit,
lie,
when you're actually looking at,
opinion.
you're going 1, 2, 2, 7 times 13 times 11. Everybody probably goes, oh, I don't know what it is now. I know you've got it as 365 times, comma 222 days, but they're such long numbers. It sort of goes out of your mind a bit. So we're a bit mind blown with numbers. I'm a little bit like that. When you mention lots of numbers, I start, oh my God.
Right. But they're not just numbers. They're numbers that easily verify how the units of measurement that we have been using since our birth, the hour, the foot, the yard, the mile, all of them are because of these numbers. I only have to use these numbers. I don't have to make anything up, fudge
Why
things,
did
or
they
do
make
anything else.
Why did they make a meter mile and a mile? Do you know what I mean? Like in France, everything's different with speeds, everything. They're using meters, aren't they?
Okay. They are trying to use meters. They're trying to get away from the foot and inches.
Right.
And personally, knowing what the foot and inches proves, in my opinion, Flat Earth Dave should be jumping all over this because I can show him a lot more about what it proves. It really takes the globe and it flattens it like a pancake. But he won't listen to me. That's why I asked if you had in with him. But
anyway, you're talking it with me, and so it's going on a few channels, so don't worry.
Well, maybe he'll get an email. Dave, I emailed you a month ago. Reply to the email. Either way. So what the joke right there, if you read it at the end, is if you remove all the Gregorian numbers, I put in there because numbers 2 is where it talks about this.
Is that the dark numbers?
And truncate the conversion from the messed up meters, you see, and that number right there, if you put it into a calculator, you wind up with 18,600, which is, within all accuracy, the speed of light.
But you see that as a cover-up, don't you?
Do I see why they changed it, or why what?
You see it as a cover-up because it's out.
I see the meter as My conspiratorial side sees the meter as a way to try to get us to stop using the foot. If we stopped using the foot, then we would never see the relationship between the foot and the mile and the heavenly bodies. You get it?
You're right. Well, they don't want clever people like you working things out, do they, and realising that it's out?
Probably. Just like the Russian, the Russian flag. If they don't want the fact that the horse that the guy is standing on the Russian flag is standing on a gargoyle.
Oh, let's have a look then. Shall we just look at the Russian flag? One second. Back on now. There's the eagle with the man on the horse, and that's on gargoyles.
Right. And the gargoyle was, and I misspoke. My thing was terrarium with a T-A-R instead of terrarium, which, is what we supposedly live in, big terrarium. So it was a play on that. Just like the one I did this year was a play on the synergy of the solar system. Anyway, and now I've lost my track. Oh yeah, the flag that you're talking about kind of denotes the conquering of Tartaria and the replacement of a different government and stomping them out. And I do, at this point in my life, feel that the root, as we call it, the foot today, they probably called it the tar, based on the etymology, the hectare, which would be, if you look at it, it is 100. A tear with an E on the end would be a yard, what we call a yard today. So it would be 100 cubic yards, which is what a hectare is today, only we say it's about 100 cubic meters, when really it's 100 cubic yards. The name speaks for itself, in my opinion.
Wow. I think as well. I think
in the past, the Tartarians kind of ruled the world, and as such,
yeah, he is flying. He's flying a double eagle on that flag, and in the Roman world, that means he's emperor. Sorry.
I will trust you on that. I don't completely follow. See that the whole what this flag and that. I'll trust you. I'm not here to dispute you on that one.
Anyway, we're not talking about that and the goddamn Romans. But, yeah, we need another picture, Angel, because people are watching and, yeah.
Well, you can go to gotfoot.com and show that real quick.
Okay, let's just go to there. 1 second. We had this talk, maybe it was about 8 months to a year ago now. It was quite a few, 8 months ago, where you were talking about these and saying that foot was out. So the gear becomes out on the, what's it called again? The machine.
Antikythera.
Yeah, a gear is out.
It's called Aunt K.
Aunt K is out, and then that means over time the thing is going to get quite out of kilter. So what does that mean? For everybody to understand what that means.
When you say out of kilter.
Out of kilter. It's not working properly.
Out of kilter. Well, no, it actually never will be. If I tell you something's going to happen in 3 months, and that item is contingent upon the next thing happening, when we get closer to it and it's 28 days and it happens, well, when I calculate for that correction, it pulls everything else in.
So what would that mean for us if they're doing? So does that mean that we're bigger than they say we are?
We're bigger.
The place we live on is bigger than they say it is.
It doesn't have anything to do with the size. It has to do. I'll be as blunt as I can.
Go on. Explain.
There is no parallax, and there is no orbit. this machine wouldn't work after all these years if those features of the Gregorian time calculating system were accurate.
So what difference does it make when you've noticed that the calculations aren't correct and that it's a cog out or it's so many whatever it is of a foot out? What does that mean?
It's not that anything is incorrect. I say they came up with this orbital, I will suggest they came up with an orbital idea so that as the world progressed and knowledge came to the common person, if you're not using accurate numbers and accurate measurements, you don't see the symmetry in the world. The units of measurement we use today, the foot, the mile, the yard, they didn't come out of thin air. The cubit is a documented historical measurement. It shows that at time in past, a civilization had already calculated the speed that the light traverses the earth.
How would they know that?
This.
How would they know that?
Well, how would they know? How do we know it?
Yeah, because we have a bit of their stuff left over, and they'll say that they've worked on that.
I'll say that. We have a bit of their stuff left over is how we've actually confirmed the pieces in the Antikythera mechanism. If you watch some of the videos, one of the ones I met, there was an argument from the people that were dissecting the Antikythera mechanism about how many gears, how many teeth a gear should have. And the guy's like, well, I think it should have this much. And some guy whips out this old book and dusts it off, and he looks at it, he's like, well, it actually says right here that, and the guy's like, oh, so I guess it has to be a 57 tooth count, not a 56 and not a 58. It has to be 57. No question about it, which happens to be another prime number.
Who's done that to us? The ones that have made what we use today, that set of people lied about the old information to make whatever they've got, but it's out.
At this point in my life, you know who Abby Kaufman was?
No, sorry.
All right. You know who Jim Carrey is?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's say Jim Carrey wanted to play a prank. Okay. Do you know Jim Carrey's movie that he did, Man on the Moon, was a movie about Abby Kaufman?
All right.
Abby Kaufman was somebody who played real-time jokes, like that guy who wears the mustache and pranks people on the video cameras all the time. Like, he'll walk into place and be like, he'll pretend he's stupid, like, oh, can I try on dress, please? Let me try on. And, like, he tries to do stupid things and gets the person saying, sir, you're going to rip the dress. What the hell are you doing, sir? You know, type stuff. Have you seen those videos?
No, but we have like programs a bit like that here.
Okay. So let's just say that Jim Carrey wanted to play a prank on the world. So he goes in there and he says, hey, an apple fell out of a tree. And because this apple fell out of the tree while I was dosing on acid and shrooms and maybe some peyote and hibiscus and ayahuasca all at the same time, I'm going to come up with this idea about, everything he came up with an idea about. And then people have gone with it for a long time. How do we know anything is true? Because we don't have supercomputers. We are just trusting never a straight answer, people.
Yeah.
The serpent people.
Yeah.
Okay?
Is that the bit
that's
that you said about? Is that?
And that's what I'm sticking with.
You sent me a message and you used Jim Carrey. Was that what it was about? You were going to tell me this bit.
Well, I'll tell you that Jim Carrey is not the right Jim Carrey. I don't need AI to tell me. I've been.
He's a cartoon.
Well, whatever.
And do you know what? The other thing that you might not realise is
the person that was in France 2 months ago was not the same person who played in all the movies.
can I just say this? It might change your mind just a little bit. What it is I saw this, he was I can't remember if it was news or he was a presenter. I can't remember his name either, which is really annoying, but it is a video on my channel somewhere. So what he did is he went in for an interview, and then he was just explaining his interview. And he said, they filmed me for 10 minutes. And what it is that 10 minutes, because there they get his mannerisms, him laughing, everything. That is his career. The footage that they take of him for 10 minutes is the footage they use for about 5 years. And then 5 years on, when you do actually see the person that's supposed to be like, say, Jim Carrey, he's changed so much. Because you're looking at the cartoons they made of him 5 years before. Do you understand what I mean? I don't think they're just doing it for the news person on the video.
99% of...
They do it for everyone.
99% of what you... Right. 99% of what you see... Have you ever seen the movie Lookers?
Don't know. Probably not.
I've heard of the movie Lookers. All right. Well, someday pull up the trailer for the movie Lookers. It was like in the 1980s. And what they basically did is they put people into the Bernie Madoff 3D body scanners. And they scanned them and they digitally put them into commercials and stuff. And then they would kill the actresses so they didn't have to pay them royalty fees. That was the whole gist of the movie.
Yeah, or they just use like when you see Avatar, it's only that with a cartoon picture of Jim Carrey
right.
instead.
I get that, but the physical guy named Jim Carrey would show up at Universal Studios and would walk down the street.
Well, I don't think they have to do any of that either,
hands.
because they've got their footage. You know, sometimes when they tell you those stories, they've been off hiking. Or do you remember when we were making that film and we did that and that and that? It never happened. Because,
you forget.
But they do sometimes film them. They have to show you, this is what we do to them.
I'm not gonna say that they sometimes don't do some stuff.
No.
However, I lived in Huntington Beach, California. I would go to the Universal City Walk back a long time ago when they used to have AOL meetups. I'm telling you, this is how old I've been doing this. There would be AOL meetups. So I would be there once a month, at least once a month, for 5 or 6 hours. And you would see the famous people that would sometimes go there, or they'd have a thing showing for a movie or whatever. I got to bump into the Rock guy, and who was a real wrestler. He's a real person. I got to physically see some of these people. So you can't tell me that all of them are fake. They're not all fake. They do when they go to a meet and greet. There is a real person standing there. Now, they may have, like Hillary, where there's fill-ins from time to time.
It's just a model number now. What I'm saying is they film them, and then that footage is their career for so many years. It's just a cartoon you're watching. That's why Trump looks the same today as he did last time he was in power, when he can't be. He's got to be older. So
I think there's multiple Trumps.
And sometimes they use people that look like him, like David Icke is Gary Glitter. And David Icke plays most of them. When you put David Icke's face in the picture, they're David Icke. Even David Bowie is David Icke. I don't know how they do it, but they do it.
I'm not,
Anyway, we've got off track. We're on, because I even got the Tartarian up. So finish this. Well, this is to be honest, what you're talking about with this is very interesting. We did do it before, but you've decided you want to do it again, because you're going to write a book.
Well, I told you I could talk about whatever you want. I mean,
you're going to write a book about this.
With all the hubbub about the Great Giza Pyramid, I thought that might be something. But all of this,
you can talk about whatever you want, Angel. Do you want me to go to the Tartarian bit, or do you want to finish this bit?
Well, it's basically the same thing, but I didn't quite understand it yet.
We're going to the Tartarian now, are we?
Yes, we can do that.
But just say that those points that you have picked up on with the meter and the foot and everything is very, very interesting, and well done, Angel.
Well, thank you.
Well, because I wouldn't have noticed it. I wouldn't have noticed the problem, would I? But you're so clever. He is this person is very clever. Angel is very clever.
It all stems back to my very unappreciated research on the Great Giza Pyramid. And the units of measurement that they had at the time, and as such, the unit of measurement kind of shows their knowledge. At least, today we use the foot, but we don't know why we use the foot. We use the mile. We don't know why we use the mile, but we're using it as a legacy thing. They kind of want that legacy thing to be the meter.
Yeah, in America, you use miles, don't you? But you have Celsius, and we have degrees, don't we? So it was the other way around.
Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Watch this. Alexa, what's the temperature outside?
Right now, it's 35 degrees Fahrenheit. Tonight, expect a low of 24 degrees. One more thing. I have a morning updates routine that will provide you updates on the weather and deliveries for today. Do you want to try it?
Alexa, no.
Can I ask you something? As you've got Alexa on there, why don't you ask Alexa why the foot is out? Go on.
Well,
because we can hear it.
Out? How is the foot out? No one on this earth but me tells you that the foot is the foot because of why I'm telling you the foot is the foot.
Mm.
Who else on this green earth, or blue earth, or purple
Well, Alexa's supposed to tell the truth, aren't they?
Alexa, how is the foot established?
I don't have an answer for that.
Alexa, how did they decide how long to make a mile?
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Really?
Alexa, how long is a meter?
1 meter is about 3 feet 4 inches.
About? Oh, did you hear it? She said about.
Alexa, how long is the meter compared to decay of...
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Alexa, how long is the meter on Wikipedia?
1 meter is about 3 feet 4 inches.
You're not helping me, lady.
She said about. She's not saying accurately.
3.9 inches. Yeah, but the meter is defined as
about. It's about.
That is, well, no, they have it down to a fine point.
But why did she say about? She said twice about.
She says about. She says about. Yes, but let me get back to it. There's a element that has a decay rate which goes like on a Geiger counter. Really staticky, and it decays like 92 million particles a second or something like that. So they say how long it takes those particles to reach a certain length or something like that. Oh, my
goodness.
And they have it down to rocket science at this point. However,
can I just say, she wasn't very informative. She wasn't very informative.
No, she's not. She's not. But the length of the meter is decided on by some French group. So some French guy somewhere, he decides how long the meter is.
Okay. But it is quite fascinating that, sometimes my work is different, but I think, why aren't people talking about that or realise that? You're going, look at those measurements, they're wrong, and everybody's following wrong maths.
Yeah, I'll go with that, but I'm showing you how the units of measure that you no longer use over there in the UK, ironically enough, I'm showing you how well it's working. You no longer use it. These units of measure that you used to use are based in showing a knowledge of the Earth. It proves that somebody at some point knew a lot of information while they say they were rubbing stones and kicking things.
To be honest, I find it quite boggling because...
As Brent Forrester said, we are a civilization in amnesia.
But it's crazy because they've done it with the food, they've done it with our languages, they've done it with maritime law, they've done it with so many things. They're completely covered.
I put the word feeble-minded in there for a reason. They want to get rid of us feeble-minded, worthless eaters.
Okay, we're on the Titarium now, but thank you very much for that, and I hope people realise that Angel is giving you news. He has realised that things aren't quite right. But very quickly, before we go on to Titarium, what does it mean for the whole system then? What does it mean when it's slightly out? You said they didn't want us to understand what a magnificent place we lived in.
Well, I'll explain it to you, but I don't know if you'll appreciate it. It has to do with the way gears in like a watch work.
Yeah. So what does that mean for everything? Does that mean time is going slower or faster than we think then?
Well, it's just how we calculate it. Time is running at the same exact rate.
But why would they want it? Why would, when they changed it, it's a bit like Alexa. It's about that measurement, but it's not accurate then, is it?
Well,
everything here you've shown us is like 1227 times 13 times 11 equals 182611. They're all great big numbers. So why would they want to be out?
They're not out. We're out. We're the one who skewed.
Yeah, I know that the machine's right, but we're out. But why would they want to do that?
So that you don't appreciate the technology and knowledge of the past. We're supposed to be the current, most knowledgeable evolution of people. To admit that there was a group of people that knew better than us. Do you get that?
Yeah.
To admit that there was a group of people that knew better than us, knew more than us, had more knowledge than we did 200 years ago. And honestly, up until a week ago, this I don't think was knowledge. It's just black and white. It's just a different way of calculating time, and look what answers pop up. It answers how.
But if a gear is out, say one gear, it'd say it's whatever the difference between the two adds up to one gear, and that was say nearly 2,000 years ago. What does that mean when we're now here and 2,000 years of one cog is wrong? What does that mean?
Well, are you saying if the way the Gregorian calculator works?
Yeah, how that worked. That was right. And now they've changed it. It's one gear out, and we're now 2,000 years on with one gear out. What does that mean?
I'll give you one simple answer. It has nothing to do with years. Where do you get your time from? Who do you appeal to get your time?
Well, it's on my computer. It's on my phone.
Okay. You appeal to someone else. If you could go outside at night and tell time on your own, all by yourself.
Right.
There's it's something you would have the skill to do all by yourself. You wouldn't have a clock. We appeal to someone else to tell us our time. And unfortunately, I feel that in the same way you have got rid of the mile and the inches.
Well, we still use a mile.
You still use the mile?
Yeah.
I thought you used kilometers an hour.
No, that's France and Europe.
Oh, okay.
Don't forget, Rule Britannia runs everything.
Well, they're trying to get rid of the mile.
They won't in my generation, but they could in the future. And they have brought all the metric stuff in. Do you know what I mean? It is here. But even today, instead of saying 100 grams, I'd say 25 ounces.
Right. And that's actually nice to hear. But the UN's goal would be that they get rid of that nasty mile, that mean nothing mile. Because they love the meter. The meter's awesome. It's French. How could it not be awesome? It smells good. Anyway, they want to get rid of it because it shows, it's evidence of a wiser civilization. Now, I could go into why.
Is that how they've kind of got rid of the pyramids as well, for the wiser thing, and they got rid of that?
I will go on the same line. Do you watch? There's a show, My Lunch Break. Have you heard of it? Have you watched any of it? When you're bored, it's great. It's called My Lunch Break. Watch it. Just watch one or two. I just in your boredom, My Lunch Break. Very simple. But there is a goal to squash out evidence of past, wiser, more knowledgeable existences of something. I'm not going to, sometimes they're tall people, so it may have been Nephilim. I don't, that's the evidence that they're squishing it out is evident. The evidence that they're lying about what they built compared to what they found is evident. The way that we dismiss units of measure that are actually quite awesome and recalculatable if they had to be. Knowing how this is done, it is recalculatable. The meter is only on a piece of metal, or it used to be. Now it's a wavelength, but it's what somebody says it is. And unless you have supercomputers, how the hell do you know the wavelength or the decay of this particular radioactive metal? It's like you have to trust them.
I do appreciate what you're doing. We're just users. Like, I get the calculator out, I get my computer out, I'm copying things on the computer, but you do spend a lot of time looking things up. But then you're into the pyramids, aren't you? So that's probably how you got the mathematics there.
And since the people who created the pyramids, I've mentioned this to you as well. The people who created the pyramids speak in math and relationships. And because of that, I look for the communication. And I see the communication, but I have to confirm the communication. Just like how the particular opening in the combustion chamber, that's called the King's chamber, is the wavelength and frequency of hydrogen in a vacuum, and it's not even questionable that is a specific length. I think it's 21 centimeters and 7.8 centimeters or something like that.
So what does the explain what the Tartarium is to the pyramids then?
Well, Tartaria is the hypothetical country that used to be where Russia is. Terrarium, is the paper I wrote a year ago on Pi Day last year, is a play on a terrarium where you keep your plants, and a play on the world in which we live, because we do live in a terrarium, but I used terrarium, A, so it's spelled differently, and B, because I know the unit of measure was TAR. It had the root of TAR, and that's because of some of the units of measure that we still use today, like the hectare. And it was because of all of this that I put the pieces together, but that was before I even knew of Tartaria. I found Tartaria after I wrote it, but I knew tar was the root, and hence I put the two together, played with the word terrarium, wrote tararium, and it really shows how we're in a bubble. And, well, it doesn't show how we're in a bubble. It shows how if we assume we're in a bubble and do the calculations like we're in a bubble, a lot of things fall into place, and units of measure that scholars scratch their heads on make sense. These numbers, I didn't make the calculator spit these numbers out. These numbers spit themselves out.
There's a really long one here. It's got 1277 star 13 star 11 star 5 star 3 star 2. That's a long one.
Right. I'm not saying they're not long numbers, but those are all just year counts. They're all prime numbers. and they all show the run of a system. And we can talk about how gears work. I mean, the best thing eventually is for me to learn how to make a 3D CAD and to build a clock using these gears and interface it with the Antikythera mechanism and use the exact gear count as the mechanism and show that the two units will work in symmetry to calculate time. They can't not do what I'm saying, is what I'm suggesting. They can't not do it because it's built to do it. And I didn't build the system, I'm just pointing it out.
But you have a very mathematical mind, don't you?
I see numbers. I'm not going to argue there. I given enough time, can hand make a QR code because I'm a geek in that way.
Sure. So your mind goes all places that ours probably wouldn't go, Angel.
I've been thinking computer-wise since I was a teenager. I've been doing bit masking and multiples of 2, forever.
The good thing about you is that even though you're very mathematical, you're not geeky at all. You're a really lovely person.
I could be.
You're not geeky. You're not, or even thou doesn't one. You haven't got airs and graces, and you don't. I do, and I like the fact that when you see something new, and even if it relates, like we've just done with the Anna, what is it? Oh yeah, something K, that one, Auntie K.
Auntie K, just call it Auntie K.
Auntie K.
It's easier than trying to it's Aunt K.
So
the old Aunt K. She's coming by using her walking cane. Aunt K.
We're looking actually at the Taranium stuff, but what was it you saw different from when we had the hangout about it to what you told me just a minute ago? What's the difference that you've seen? Because you've added something probably.
Well, how it relates to the celestial movement. And I could bore you, but there are a bunch of big numbers, and you would just sit there and nod and not understand it. No, I'm not going to say you won't understand it. I don't want it. Let's look at a simple thing. 4 years, 365 days times 4 plus 1, right? That number is, what was it, 1461 or something? Yeah, I think it's 1461. Now, the way, and I'm going to throw this number at you, the way the system works, you don't see it in that number, but I see a 3 and a 487. If you take 3 times 487, you get 461. The way that the system worked is that there is a gear in there, just like the way that the 223 plays with the moon cycles, and the 13 and the 11 play with the relationship between the sun and the moon within the cycles, and those work perfectly within the Antikythera mechanism. The 487 gear works in conjunction with the 3 gear, and while one is the machine tracking the celestial movements, it's on an arm of its own, and it works perfectly. That's been established. NASA had egg on their face when it told them the eclipse in 2024 was going to traverse one direction, and NASA said it was going to go the other, and the Antikythera mechanism was right, and NASA was wrong. Okay, so we know we appeal to the Auntie K for her wisdom. We leave her alone. The math on the other side is the calendar. And the calendar, it keeps track of time by using that cycle of the 487 gear, so that every 4 cycles, every 4 years, it appends an extra year, an extra day. That's how the two machines, how the calendar keeps in symmetry with the wandering stars. Now, these are all just gear math, And like a watch, it can't be wrong, because that works out perfectly, that every 4 years, it'll append a year. This is why they went from the vernal equinox to the vernal equinox, is because nature has that little wobble of over 4 years, the day gets longer, it gets shorter, it gets longer, it gets shorter. That's the whole reason for the annelium thing, is to show you where it is, and, you know, it gets wider and thinner because over this track of 4 years, it actually migrates back and forth a few inches, depending on how far you put the focal point above the ground. It moves back and forth a few inches, as well as moving up and down. So it's a figure eight that kind of looks like a, you know, one of the blue ribbons, where, you know, it's got that ribbon look to it. That is really, Galileo can tell you that. I can't dispute it. It's a fact. You don't have to believe that it's there, but it's there. But every 4 years, every 4 years and 1 day, it repeats perfectly enough that we stuck that leap year in. The machine accounts for that. I think it's beautiful. And when it does that, it doesn't calculate the year the way we calculate the year, and I've already gone into how we calculate it differently. It calculates it as in the rotation, in synchronization with the leap year and the annelium. And that is then in synchronization with the zodiac, because it already is, and the zodiac occurs, actually, we have decided it's every 25,000 years, but it's really double that, which is why the math, well, I can't swear, because I haven't been around alive that long, but the way it works, and even again, if the machine is wrong and it predicts something 62,308 years into the future, who really cares if when it gets closer to it, it was 63,206 years into the future? You know what I mean? It will predict it into the future, and as you get closer, and as, oh, the moon just set today, so we'll move it over here, you're auto-correcting it in movement with real time, as you wish to, because the nature, you stare up, you see what nature says, so you know what? The moon actually set 10 minutes earlier than you do, so I'll just move this up 10 minutes. And if you just keep making corrections,
I know, but the only reason I know about it is because you told me.
Okay, this is true. It's because but here's the thing: is I'm basing it being inaccurate against the Gregorian calendar, which I feel is intentionally inaccurate. So I really think that it is accurate, and the Gregorian calendar is inaccurate. But when you look at the two of them, its prediction is like so close to what the Gregorian people say, you have to be in awe that it is so perfect. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, well, thank you very much for repeating that. We're just trying to make sure that
smarter
everybody
people with
gets this, Angel. They get what you're talking about.
Okay.
Maths isn't everybody's best thing.
I missed that, sorry.
I'm not saying maths is everybody, like the mathematical side.
Right.
Numbers aren't everybody. It's not. I listen to other people talk about numbers, but numbers to me are just a mass of numbers. It's like, oh my god, what? I can't work, except when you explain things. Like you said, 365, whatever, and they said, what does that look like? Oh yeah, that's a year.
Right.
I can see that, but
these are units of measure you use every day: the hour, the mile, the foot. No one has told you where they came from, and I have just shown you with math where they came from.
Yeah.
I'd like you to find someone who says that, wow, that's all I gotta say. Wow.
So basically,
math,
for the pyramids, what does all this mean?
Well, the pyramids more use the cubit because the cubit shows a time. By using the cubit, since the cubit is a length over time, by sticking cubits in from place to place, they're showing how they're either stretching or shrinking things. Like in areas where it's more dense, I feel things are closer together, showing that time is shortened because things go slower in a more dense atmosphere. But here's the caveat is I need to recreate the structure and show the environments within the structure, demonstrate what I'm suggesting, and then show how the communication echoes the demonstration, proving that the communication is accurate to the happenings within the structure. Like Roman numerals. If I just pointed at Roman numerals and says, oh, that says 42, and you say, how do you know that says 42? Well, because I would have to show you the one just before it said 41 and the one after it said 43. I have to show a pattern before I can prove to you it's communication. Communication is the same thing repetitively, and somebody else can interpret it back to what the meaning is. I can tell you, just like there are people out there that'll tell you that the match means this, and this is when, Queen Elizabeth was born, and this is when Charles diddled the first, schoolgirl, and, things of this nature. It's just, I don't, how do you prove them right or wrong? I want to inverse it. I want to create it, show what's happening, and then show, oh, you see how this is this? That could mean this. Just like I said, how Chris Dunn points out that one particular thing is like 21 centimeters and 7.8 centimeters, or whatever the exact numbers are, which are the exact wavelength and frequency of hydrogen. It's just, it is. That you can't, it can't not be. It is the exact wavelength, and it is the exact frequency of hydrogen in a vacuum. So that is a fact. Whether or not they meant it to apply to hydrogen, well, that's open for negotiation. I believe it to be true because that is the room that I suggest hydrogen is admitted into the system to mix together with the oxygen from outside to create water, which then fills the system.
Just in case nobody knows, Angel, what are the pyramids? It's a
machine.
Yes. So that is why Angel's talking the way he is, because it's a machine.
And I have lots of, you can go down that rabbit hole at greatcasepyramid.com. And you can find it on YouTube and Brighteon, not Brighteon. Yeah, it's on Brighteon, it's on BitChute, it's on all those other places you can't get to.
Yeah. And also, Angel, if Angel could get married, he'd marry a pyramid.
Well, I've heard of having cold fish in bed, but rocks?
Yeah, we obviously do quite, you do quite a lot of work on the pyramids. You taught me an awful lot of stuff.
I live, sleep, and eat them. I'd like, hopefully, soon, especially now with a lot of talk of these new discoveries underneath them, which honestly feeds into my suggestion. I don't have full, gung-ho that's.
Do you know what I thought one day? I thought maybe they're sitting on top of 3 sinkholes. But then you showed us that the Earth has been built up, that it was man-made.
I'll be this.
The plateau it's on, the pyramids are on, is man-made. And you think, wow, they built all that before they built the pyramids, or were building the insides while building the outside. Right. It's quite a big plateau, isn't it?
It is. Jeff Durham has pointed out how that there are metal veins
Do you think they didn't realise that because they put that plateau there, it redirected the river? Maybe.
Well, I personally, at this point, feel that there was actually a lake up behind it, either a reservoir or potentially a source from another
You don't
spot.
think they man-made
or
that?
They diverted
You
it.
don't think, like with like little canals, they brought the water in? You think that was already there?
At this point, I feel that they were capable of Halliburton plus size projects. Doing something like the Hoover Dam or the Aswan Dam or the what's that, Four Gorges Dam or whatever it is. These huge monstrosities of creations. I don't put things of that nature past them. Terraforming, I think, was as easy as pouring a glass of water.
We have been going for an hour and a half. Do you want to carry on a bit more?
Well, we could call it ends, but I'd like to talk you off record.
Oh, that sounds good. Okay then. Well, I really enjoyed this, but my mind is really stuck in the maths now, because.
Well, you don't have to look at the math. You can trust your calculator. Just type in those numbers and see that these numbers are true numbers, and I'm only making the numbers out of prime numbers. There are only so many prime numbers, and nothing I'm suggesting isn't already resident in the machine. Auntie Kay already has these things in her. She proves
hey, Angel,
how well they
Angel,
work.
you're the machine.
Yeah. That's what I've been told.
Well, I very much appreciate that. It's always good having a chat with Angel. We've been doing it now for about 10 years. Quite incredible, isn't it?
It is.
A decade of our lives off and on talking to each other.
Half a score.
It is, but me and Angel are going to talk off air now. But I very much appreciate you coming on and us having our chat, and thank you very much, Mr. Cleverman. Angel?
We done? Oh, do I say goodbye?
Yeah, you got to
Later,
say goodbye. Oh, is that, you've done it? Oh, well, thank you very much, chat room. Everybody that's got this far and listened to this hangout, thank you very much. And Angel.